Okay, so we just finished watching the second season of Arcane, the trailer. We also watched what is it called? The Nectrit video explaining everything, like a long ass, almost 40-minute video explaining everything. And I wanna watch this TV Skyan video because his videos are actually really good. And he explains everything super well. So I wanna watch this too.
Hello, inventors and insurrectionists. My name is Tease, and there is
Skyan.
a new Arcane trailer, which has caused me to literally lose my ability to think or care about almost anything else, so we're gonna have to talk about it. Now, you may notice that this video is a little bit on the shorter side when it comes to my reactions to Arcane trailers, and that is very much on purpose. We are not going to go frame by frame theorizing on this one, because, well, I kind of already did that. Over on my reaction channel at Freebiesguy, you can find my initial first watch of the trailer, as well as an increasingly unhinged series of wild predictions going off in every mad direction I could think of. Parallel timelines, alternate universes, we've got the whole shebang. If you want to watch me slowly go to pieces with possibilities, that experience is available, and you can find a link in the description. Over here on the main channel, we're going to be a little bit more sober about it, a little bit less excited, and we're going to take a swing at some slightly more sensible predictions. And let's start with the structure of the season, because there is going to be a time skip. I think Caitlyn with her fancy beret, Vi in the ill-fitting cop uniform, and the strike team they've got, that's the immediate aftermath of Jinx's attack on the council. That's Act 1. Caitlyn, having lost her mother, who is definitely dead, is out for blood and revenge, and Vi is joining her, hoping against hope that she can get through to Powder and somehow protect her sister. That mission doesn't go so well. Jinx and Vi have a confrontation, and Jinx, well, apparently explodes, but we'll come back to that. Running alongside of that is the intrusion of Noxus.
Okay, so that will be the
Piltover.
beginning.
We see in a couple of wide shots that a Noxian building, probably a Noxtora, which is the monuments that Noxus raises over their territories, is being built in the middle of Piltover. Ambessa, who remember is trying to start a civil war, is browbeating the Piltover Council into launching a full-scale repression of the Undercity, and it seems like she eventually dispenses with that diplomacy and just launches a full-scale occupation of the whole city. We see in this shot here that the Noxians are pointing their weapons at Piltover enforcers, and in this shot we see someone who looks like Ambessa fighting with some cool chain weapons and also cutting down enforcers. So it seems like Noxus is just launching a full-scale invasion.
Well, either Noxus uses Ambessa's family of action, presumably desperate to hold off whatever threat Swain Darius LeBlanc is coming for them by stealing tested weapons. I mean, we saw in the next video that the Silco has like the what is it called? Like the little things that kind of hints that is LeBlanc
of Piltover.
I don't know the
now,
name.
It's interesting that Ambessa has the clout to browbeat the Piltover Council into doing anything, because that certainly doesn't seem like something that Mel, who has taken a stand and decided to reject Noxus,
LeBlanc
would stand for, which begs the question, where is Mel? Well, either she's dead, which feels unlikely, but not impossible to me, or else she's just otherwise gotten taken out of commission. Maybe she got turned into a golden Zonya's hourglass by whatever it was her golden tattoo did right before the rocket hit, or maybe she's severely wounded or in a coma, or maybe Ambessa has just found some way to put her away. Either way, it doesn't seem like she's there to check her mother's ambition, and neither do we see almost anything of Jace or Victor. And we'll come back to them too.
True.
Now, as for Jinx, after assaulting the council, she becomes public enemy number 1. And as we have seen in one of the clips that Riot released, it's not going super great for her, probably because she doesn't really have a plan or a vision at this point. She's just angry and has attacked the Piltover Council, but didn't really have a plan for what to do after that. That seems to be when Sevika turns up, who seems, despite their previous differences, to see Jinx as the best hope for uniting the Undercity against Piltover. And if the giant mural we see in this shot here is anything to go by, they use Jinx's connection with Vander rather than her connection with Silco to position her as a freedom fighter and a liberator of the people, as seen in this shot where Jinx seems to be quite touched by the affection and embrace of the people. This might signal something of a change in her character, actually. Now, at some point in this season, just like in Season 1, there's going to be a time skip. And the main reason that I think so is hair, actually. Vi's hair here is grown a lot longer than it was in Season 1,
Wait, it
and
is.
so is Echo's. He's even got it up in a man bun. Savika has a new haircut and a new outfit as well, and even Jinx seems to have colored her hair with new purple, and maybe even ditched the braids? It's not 100% clear, but it kinda looks that way. And usually those kinds of changes to a character design over the course of a show, that's meant to indicate that some time has passed between a previous state and a current state of where they are as people. My suspicion is that the Noxian invasion will prompt the time skip, kind of the same way that the invention of Hextech prompted the time skip in Season 1. And I suspect that the conclusion of the series is going to be the forces of Piltover and the forces of Jinx's rebellion uniting against a common enemy, which is Noxus, to try and take their city back, probably with the understanding that the Undercity gets its independence in turn as well. Parallel to all of this, Heimerdinger and Echo are up to something. We got that clip a little while back of the two of them breaking into the Piltover University, and this trailer gives us a couple of shots of Heimerdinger in science mode, clearly doing something weird with something that doesn't seem to be Hextech. Because there's a new kind of magic on display in this trailer. Hextech is visually defined by blue and lots of arcing and sparking and lightning, but in this trailer, we get to see
They are definitely
this kind
cooking
of
something
magic,
new.
which is mostly white with a bunch of chromatic rainbow aberrations accenting it. We see it bursting out of this mysterious orb, which seems to be in some space that's underground somewhere, and it's the same color of magic as the burst that hits Heimerdinger here, and the same color of magic that's pulling people up into the air here, and it's the same
Dude,
color
what is
as the
this?
magic that explodes from Jinx in this shot. Which
Wait,
is
right.
interesting. Now, I
Wait,
assume
he's
that this
right.
magic is the Arcane, and it is definitely related to the Hex Core. Looking at the gold that's encrusting the foot of this person rising into the air, that looks similar to me to the patterns that were on Victor's leg after it had been changed by the Hex Core, and the circular rounded patterns in the Hex Core after it absorbs Sky look very similar to the shape and the structure of the magic orb in the cave down here. So these people rising into the
Okay,
air...
but we saw that this is probably related with Void, so I don't know how that's gonna work.
Either that's a flashback to the past showing people being absorbed by the
It
Arcane
could be
as
a
sacrifices in exchange for
flashback.
power, or
Smart.
maybe this is what the glorious evolution is going to look like in this show. Victor finds some way to perfect the Hex Core into this Hex Sphere, and he intends to use its power to set the world right, even if it costs a few hundred or a few thousand human lives. And besides helping Echo develop his Z-Drive, which we do see in one shot, I think Heimerdinger's main thing in Season 2 is going to be trying to find some way to deal with this arcane power. He seems to be experimenting with it in this shot, so either he's helping Jason Victor do super Hextech science with it, or else he's desperately trying to prevent that magic from being unleashed by finding some way to control and deal with it. As for Jason Victor themselves, well,
That could
it's
also
notable
be
that the
the
trailer
case.
refuses to show them almost at all. The only shot we get, which is definitely one of them, is this one. The hand grabbing that handle makes me think it's Victor grabbing his Hextech scepter to do Victor things, but the Hex crystal embedded into his wrist kind of implies maybe it's Jace, because remember how Jace used to wear a magic crystal and a band around his wrist like that? That feels like a direct reference. Either way, there's definitely another Hex orb in the background, so it has to be one of them, and inserting Hextech into your own flesh feels a little bit more like
Wait, you saw something. What is this right here? Doesn't this look like the prosthetics or the things that Victor uses? Wait.
Victor thing
It
than a
could be
Jace thing to me,
Victor.
so my guess would be that it's him. My assumption then is
Or
that
maybe
while
Jace
Piltover and
lost
Zon
a-
are having a civil war and
a
being
leg or
invaded by
something like that, I
Noxus,
don't know.
Jace and Victor are going to be off doing some kind of extremely dangerous science magic. That is, after all, kind of their thing, and Heimerdinger is going to be working either with them or against them, trying to find some way to control the magic and protect the world against them, which might be where the time travel comes in. Now, Echo has his
Ooh.
Z-Drive now, so there's definitely going to be some
I
time
don't-
travel shenanigans happening, but usually the Z-Drive can't bring him back more than a few minutes at most, so it's probably going to be limited. Looking at this shot, though, between the reflections, the multiple duplicated images, and the dimensional distortion, all of this looks kind of time machine-esque to me. So if I were to develop a crackpot theory, Heimerdinger and Echo are going to develop some kind of time machine to go back in time and prevent the tragedies of Arcane before they happen. They're going to fail, but they're going to get the Z drive out of it. That would be my prediction, but I'm really not confident in it. Again, the show seems to be taking great pains to keep specifically Jace and Victor out of the trailers to keep their role in the story under wraps, so I think they're going to get up to some really weird magic nonsense. And given that Heimerdinger is their mentor, I think it would make sense if he's the one who's trying to stop them or put their mistakes right in some way. Now, taking a step back, what's up with Emo Vi? At the Fantasy Animation Festival, Riot revealed some details about what she's got going on, and this seems to be Vi having an identity crisis. Here, she has lost her home, her family, and presumably also her relationship with Caitlyn, and so she ends up being a pit fighter in underground boxing rings while slowly falling apart from emotional issues. Apparently, at least according to the reporting I read, this is all going to be part of a big musical montage, which, again, yeah, that does sound a lot like Arcane. But we also see her squaring off against Warwick here, and Warwick, as we know, is Vander coming back from the dead. And that's interesting. Because
I don't think it's confirmed, but it's like what everybody expects. So it's gonna be interesting to see if it actually is Vander or not.
Vander's death is the moment that tears Vi and Powder apart. It's the moment that it all goes wrong. So is his primary role in Season 2 to be a haunting in that way? A ghost that's haunting Vi that she has to confront in order to rediscover herself? If I have to take a guess, I would say that Jinx goes to Singed for help, like doing the whole revolution in Zaun, and they unleash Warwick as a weapon to break into Stillwater Hold and stage a prison break. I think so because he seems to be attacking an enforcer in a tight metal hallway in this shot, and the only pre-established location I can think of that matches that in Arcane, well, that is Stillwater Hold. After that, I assume he escapes somehow and goes into the Undercity, and there Vi has to deal with him to keep the people of the city safe. Thematically, at least, I think it makes sense if Jinx is the one who uses Warwick, the ghost of Vander, as a weapon to hurt Piltover, and it makes sense if Vi is the one who confronts his ghost and overcomes it in order to fully self-actualize as a person and step into her role as an adult. On a narrative level, that would make a certain degree of sense to me. So, that is basically my working theory of the show right now. Everyone tries to capture Jinx, and they fail. This causes Vi and Caitlyn to break up, and Vi to descend into a deep emo depression while Jinx
Wait, were they dating in the first season in the first place? I don't know. Vi and Caitlyn, I mean. I don't remember.
Rescued by Sevika and becomes the Undercity's new revolutionary leader. Ambessa uses Jinx's uprising as an excuse to seize more power over Piltover, eventually leading to a full-scale Noxian invasion, and that then becomes the rallying point that unites the city against a common enemy, at least temporarily. Meanwhile, Heimerdinger and Echo do some time travel shenanigans, at least to the point that Echo gets a Z-drive while investigating the arcane magic that presumably Victor is going to be trying to unleash as part of doing his whole glorious evolution stuff. It's probably going to be Jace who will have to stop Victor in the end, possibly while being tempted to use the arcane to save Mel, or maybe to save Victor. And that is about the best theory I got. Before we go, though, a couple of interesting details I noted, even if I don't know entirely how they fit into the story. In this shot, we see someone who looks a lot like Ambessa fighting Piltover enforcers while using some Kratos Blades of Chaos as weapons. Except this character has black hair. Now, Ambessa very much has gray hair. It's kind of an important part of her character design, so what's going on here? I guess she just dyed her hair in order to go into combat, or maybe this just isn't Ambessa.
That looks like gray hair in my
whole
opinion. This right here looks like gray hair. So I don't know. I think it's hair. I think it's just the line in here, how that is portraying. I don't know.
Mask and like that.
I mean, the armor that she's using is literally the same. What the fuck? Look, everything is the same. The things here that goes in the neck, the back with the little like 4. What is it? The word 4 here? The 4 thing. I think it's hair.
Particular outfit is just the uniform of a particular kind of elite Noxian fighting force, and this is just like another member of that fighting force, and they put it in here just to mess with people so that we would think that this Chainblade thing is going to be part of her kit when she comes to League of Legends. Who knows? Moving on, in these shots, Echo is covered in Jinx-like graffiti paint markings, and that to me signals allegiance. That says to me, these markings indicate that we are on the same side, which would mean that Echo would have joined Jinx in rising up against Piltover and the Noxians, at least for these scenes. This would certainly square with my theory that Zaun and Piltover will be joining forces in the climax, but I guess it's also possible that Echo just got hit with a bunch of Jinx's paint bombs or something. Speaking of Jinx, she seems to be missing a finger, having replaced it with a prosthetic. I don't know if that's especially meaningful, like maybe it's just an injury that happens to her, or maybe it's something climactic that means something specifically thematically for her character, but what exactly that would be, I can't say. I don't know if it's meaningful, but I'm gonna bring it up because otherwise people will be posting it at me in the comments. Finally, here's two things that I have no idea what to make of them. We have this shot of a girl who looks a lot like Powder in a scene that looks very similar to the opening scene on the bridge from Season 1, except she's not wearing the same clothes as Powder. Her hair is longer, and if the person carrying her is supposed to be Vi, that doesn't look anything like Vi's hairstyle either. So is this just another little girl who happens to also have blue hair, or is there something else going on? I don't actually know. And secondly, the shadow. Now, I am convinced that this is Silco's silhouette, but it seems to be LeBlanc in disguise. And I say that because of the markings under the eyes. Those are part of LeBlanc's iconography, but what the hell is she doing in Arcane? If I'm right, and this is Silco's silhouette, does that mean she turns up trying to take his place, command his resources, cause some kind of chaos in the Undercity by impersonating a past revolutionary leader?
But
I don't really know how a character like LeBlanc would fit into the themes of Arcane, and if she is here, I mean, surely that kind of means that Swain is going to be here too, right? It would feel weird to have one without the other, but then again, what would be the point of introducing him? Arcane is dense enough already as it is. There's already way too much going on, and I think adding too many more champion cameos, that's just gonna bloat the show. So this seems to be LeBlanc, but I have no idea why she's here. Now, of course, the trailer for Arcane Season 1 had a couple of shots in it that never actually showed up in the show, so maybe this is literally a red herring. Maybe this is literally something that just doesn't actually happen in Season 2, and they put it in here just to mess with people like me who make way too many theories based on way too little information. And you know what? I gotta say, I'm okay if I'm being trolled like that. Hey, thank you very much for watching. I wasn't 100% sure if I wanted to put something on the main channel for this trailer, but I went so far off the rails with my reaction that I kind of felt like I had to go back and put something together that was a little bit more coherent and sensible. Arcane is just around the corner now, which is wild to think of, and I still need to finish my last video about the animation of Season 1, so I guess I better get rushing on that. In the meantime, hey, if you enjoyed this video, maybe like and subscribe and do all the other things. It helps the channel out a lot. You can also support me on Patreon or on Ko-fi if you want. There's some rewards available for that, but frankly, I'm doing okay these days, and I don't need the money that bad. So if you have a spare $1 or $2 that you don't know what to do with, I would rather that you donate it to Doctors Without Borders or the Palestinian Children's Relief Fund. They need all the help they can get right now, and if you send your money to me, well, odds are pretty good that I'll just donate it to them anyway, so you can cut out the middleman on that one. If you do donate to either of those organizations, email me the receipt for that, and I will give you access to the same rewards that you'd get for supporting me on Patreon or Ko-fi. Thank you very much for your time and your attention. Remember to be kind to one another, stand in solidarity with those who struggle, and may the tides of history wash gently over us all.
Okay, so I actually think LeBlanc is gonna be part of this story. I watched the Necrit video, and what he said made sense. Like LeBlanc is trying to make a lot of like super powerful allies to fight Mordekaiser. So yeah, maybe she's gonna be like the, what is a good example, like Isem from Bleach, that everything was done because of him. He's the one that made everything. He's the reason the show is even, like, the show happened. Like Ichigo had the powers that he had. I don't know, there is a lot of characters like that in shows, anime, etc., right? So she's probably gonna be Arcane's like mastermind behind everything. I can actually see it happening for sure. Well, yeah, that was good. I'm not gonna watch more videos like with theories of everything. I'm just gonna wait and enjoy it when it comes out. That's all I'm gonna do. When I watch the whole show. I don't know if they're gonna do similar to what they did with the first season. I'm pretty sure they release 3 episodes 1 week, 3 episodes the week after, and the last 3 episodes the third week. I don't know how they're gonna do it, but either way, I'm just gonna enjoy it and watch it. And wow, I can't wait.